courage, commitment, desire. This is the Blitz, baby!
Play.
Off.
Play.
Off.
Play.
Off.
I'm Travis Downey, and this is Will Parchman, and this is another playoff edition of the Northwest Florida Daily News' Prep Football Blitz. Just like a week ago, down to two teams, Freeport and Niceville. Freeport getting the win last week, as did Niceville. Moving on, and I guess we'll start with the 1A school, start with Freeport. You've been there all week, talking to Jim Anderson and those guys. What's the feeling down there, and how do you like Freeport's chances of moving on and continuing the season?
Well, I think a lot of jokes have been made this year, just kind of, Freeport not maybe giving themselves a whole lot of chances in games, at least publicly, throughout the year. This week, it's for real. They really are the underdogs. This Trinity Christian team, 12-0, been very, very impressive this year. And everything they've been doing. They've been the number 1A team in the state for most of the season, and that's very much been deserved. They had a very impressive win about mid-season over North Florida Christian, which was the 1A champions last year, kind of putting their mark on the classification, as it were. They've really kind of put themselves out there as the team to beat this year. Kind of unfortunate for Freeport that it's in their half of the draw, but they got to get it done. One big bonus: they are at home. They do host. Sure to be a sold-out stadium there on Friday, but very, very much the underdogs. It should be interesting. This Trinity team runs a wing T. They got a running back, Andrew Bew, who's got about 1,700 yards, about 20 touchdowns this year. Freeport's not seen talent like this, maybe ever in school history. Obviously, 34 years there in football, and obviously this is the farthest they've ever gone. Right. Could be the best team that they've ever seen. How do they respond? I think that's going to be the most interesting thing. Yeah,
and I think with Freeport, you mentioned it, that this is the first time that they've legitimately been that real underdog that Jim Anderson always tabbed them to being, and they've had that approach. We're the underdog. We have a lot to prove. I'm with you. I think it's going to be a lot for them to overcome. I think this is a team that's had a remarkable season. I don't think anyone will argue that. But you just mentioned the talent that they have on that other sideline. That wing T offense too. When you've got a defense that relies on some two-way players and you don't have a whole lot of numbers to begin with, that type of offense can really grind on you. So yeah, I don't think it looks good for Freeport. I don't think it looks very well for them.
Right, and there's not a whole lot of teams that you'll play in Class 1A that have a player like Trinity has, that's being scouted by Michigan and Ohio State, as they do there with the cornerback Knight. He's incredible talent. I mean, they've just got that all over the roster, and they're really young too. So yeah, it's just going to be too much for Freeport to overcome. Unfortunately, it's been a good run though. It's been a good run for that team. Moving on, Niceville, of course. Kind of the big dogs in the area all year. Putting that up to the test against a Lincoln team they've already beaten this year.
Right, the season's kind of coming full circle in a sense, because Niceville, ranked number 1 in the state, traveling to Lincoln, Tallahassee, the team where they opened up this season, and what's been just a great season so far. I think once they arrive in Tallahassee, they're going to find a much different Lincoln football team than they had, season start. For one thing, the quarterback is new, Ryan White. Season started last season. They've been going back and forth. Last time these two teams met, it was Tully Brigman, the other quarterback, another senior, and he had a lot of success. White is a little bit more of a runner and thrower. He's passed for over 1,000 yards, run for over 500 yards as well. A very athletic guy under center. And also they had some other players that were out specifically on defense. Then on the offensive line, they were without 2 starters. So in speaking with the Lincoln coaching staff earlier today, they feel like it's a totally different team. And with that being said, they feel like they have a really good chance. Now, they also said it would go a long ways in helping them if John Hicks and Niceville would leave number 3, Cody Williams, and number 24, Roy Finch, behind. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be a great game. And one thing I'm curious to see how it develops is, if you remember that last game, Javorius Allen, junior running back, really highly touted running back, had 3 catches for 120 yards. That 3rd catch was a touchdown in which he suffered a broken femur. And speaking with the Lincoln head coach earlier, he's around and running. He's doing everything. So I asked him if he was going to play. He said we'll have to wait and see Friday night, but he's been physically cleared. So I think Allen could be back in the mix for Lincoln. Having said that, I still think Niceville can get this win. I think just like Lincoln believes they're a better football team than they were at the season start, Niceville is too. I think this is we all knew about Cody and Roy with Shuddy, Fletcher, Pullman. or Pullen, excuse me. They've got a lot of weapons. I just think in the end, Niceville wins it. I don't think it'll be quite the shootout it was last time because both defenses should be better. But I think Niceville goes on the road and gets this win.
I was going to say, as much as Lincoln, thinks that they've changed, which they have since the beginning of the season, Niceville has as well, as you mentioned. Just so much progression there. Pretty much every facet, they've just gotten better. Basically just kind of bolstering what they have around Cody and Roy, which has been really impressive this season to see. They just really come on strong of late. I think Lincoln is maybe a little bit surprised at that. They're going to see a more well-rounded Niceville team. It's not just going to be Roy and Cody, although they will kind of carry the load there. I think they'll win. I don't think it'll be as close, and I don't think it'll be as back and forth, but I do think it should be a good game. Lincoln's always really loaded, so it should be good as well.
Tough to beat a quality team twice, they always say. We'll see if Niceville can do it.
As they say. Right? Appreciate you joining us on this playoff edition, and we will see you again next week.